Here it is on Monday. Hello, here it is on Sunday. I am heading to Raleigh-Durham right now to get on an aircraft and head to Sweden. Now today is a pretty long flight. We're going to get in Stockholm, and we'll be going and watching and seeing the opening of the first Megawatt charging center that is publicly accessible in the world. So there'll be OEMs at this location that will be doing the charging. There'll be other charging ports that we're going to go stop and see on the way. But this is part of a installation that was put together by our charging partner, Kempower. Now, Kempower is a Finnish company, but very close to Sweden, as you can tell on a map. So we'll be going in that direction. We're going to look at what the MCS heads look like, the system that they use to charge. Can't wait to take you along. I have a 5-hour drive to get there. We'll stop off at Electrify America here in about 100 miles, and then I'm going to be leaving my truck at Kempower, and they're going to be nice enough to give me a charge, and then I will head to the airport. So get ready. We'll go over the mountains and go over the pond, and you're going to go with us. I am at my first charging stop, and I get to give an update on what my 28-degree range is in my truck. So I left the house. It showed 328 miles of range. I went about 87 miles, and it's showing 120 miles of range. So not even almost 200 miles. Now, I am charging at a Sheetz here in Wytheville. This is an Electrify America system, and I normally stop here. This is one that I've used on occasion. Usually anytime I go to North Carolina, it's this system. So it's one of the newer systems, as you can tell. A little bit of snow falling right now, but really nice system for this area. One of the earlier deployments. But yeah, so we are on our way. Take down the flap. And we're ready to go. So stop number one. Might have to have one more by the time we get there. But yeah. We have arrived here at the Kempower North American offices. This is their headquarters and their manufacturing facility in Raleigh-Durham area in North Carolina. It is pouring the rain, so I'm not going to get out and charge, but I can give you a glimpse of what the front of their offices are. If there is time, when I get back, we'll do a quick tour of their facilities. Finally, we've landed. We're walking. And this is where we decided to pick up the rental vehicle. And as you can see, they do have these nice chargers there. This one is kind of what I've been looking to have somewhere around here. And that's where you plug your cable up and you're able to charge from your own personal cable. Don't have these where we are. Kind of like to try it out, but a little bit different head too. But that's what we found here. We're walking. This is just a small street near the hotel, and this is Stockholm. And we are on our way to see the only thing other than the Nobel Museum, which I don't think we'll have time for, but the museum that I've been waiting to watch, the Vasa. So this is a ship that, from history I've always thought that I wanted to see. And you never want to meet your heroes. In this case, is it going to live up to the hype that I always have been told that this ship is? And I will absolutely tell you, the whole venue is amazing. This is the Vasa. It was the flagship that was set to sail, and less than a mile it sank. And it sank in the brackish waters there in the harbor from Stockholm. And that water was able to keep this wood like it is. There was none of the worms that would eat it out. And we're talking about 1628, I believe, is when it sank. Took it about 15 minutes to go down, and most of the wood you see here is the actual ship. 98% of this is the real wood that was used for this ship. And it was a flagship, made it over, and it ended up sinking because too opulent, had too many cannons, too many everything. But the 64 bronze cannons didn't help. And you can see right here is the area that tipped over and filled the ship up, taking it down. Again, this is much bigger than I expected. The craftsmanship was much better than I ever expected, and it was definitely, when you're in Stockholm, this is a must. Very well priced, a lot of people. It's just a beautiful representation of 1600s craftsmanship and something that was designed for war. This ship had 428 people on board is what it was supposed to support. You would have your crew, which is about 150, and the rest was the boarding class. So you also had to have, food for everybody. You had to have enough water for everybody. And this was a huge investment. And to have it sink like it did was definitely a blow for that area. But still, without that, we wouldn't have had one of the only 1,600 ships that we can view. And then obviously, that's what would take you out. You can tell you don't want to be on the business end of one of those cannons. Now, walking away from the Vasa, again, we didn't have a lot of time in the city. I wish we had more, but you can kind of see every street felt like this. This was just a beautiful area. And one day we'll go back and take a little bit more time and kind of walk around some of the other side streets. But it's definitely an area that is unique, and if you ever have an opportunity, I would recommend it very highly. And then we get ready to go to our next destination. Norrköping, about 100 miles south of Stockholm, is a city that is very similar to the Manchester, England. It is an industrial center of the 1800s, and there were so many factories that were converted over to museums. You can see this is down the main strip. Alternative transportation had a tram that went up and down the streets, and everything once again was beautiful. Everybody was friendly, and we were able to walk around downtown before our event and get to the river. And again, this is one of those small cities that is looking for the future, and that's where the charging stations that we went to go view the following day. Obviously, this I Heart Norrköping was right in the main city square, and it was a good chance to get ready for tomorrow. We are in Norrköping, Sweden, here at an MCS event. This is the first publicly accessible megawatt charger in Sweden. As you can tell, we have MAN, we have Volvo, as well as Scania here. These vehicles were charged, and you'll see that information coming up next. And those numbers were very high for us. So we're looking at 672 kilowatts delivered, and that was at 1,000 amps. I think it was around 900 volts. We'll have to look to make sure. But the critical part of that is also the fact that these trucks were limiting themselves, and the chargers were limiting because they had them set back a little bit, meaning there's even more ability to charge. And you see these trucks are unlike the ones we have in the United States. Obviously cab overs for room and constraints, but the other aspect is the power. Now in America we have 80,000 pounds that you can pull. Over here they could pull 88,000 pounds. So there is a little bit more weight that you can actually get on these trucks legally. But also look at the weather. It was cold. I was bald and it was very cold. But even with the cold weather, you can see these trucks really getting good efficiency. And this is an example of what the megawatt charging head, MCS head, looks like while charging. Now, this truck didn't have both on this side. Some of them did. But this is what you're seeing is the megawatt charger from Kempower that we'll also hopefully be having on some of our systems as well in the future. Very impressed with the Kempower equipment and the way that everything just worked flawlessly. Can't wait to see this technology come to us in the United States. And you thought our trucks were long. This is an electric truck that runs up here in Sweden with this trucking company. And not only that, it can also charge on CCS as well as MCS. As you can see, they're showing you the CCS system also connected. And this is also part of the same back-end system. So it's a shared electrical grid that they are working off of with battery backup. And you can see that they come in and scan the QR code. That gives them a indication on what the charge is, and the dynamic power sharing aspect of this allows us to use the same power towers, but also serve not only these chargers, but also the megawatt chargers or anything else that's on site. And that's why our systems that we hope to also build is something that will allow for this to be upgradable on all of our sites in the future. Another look at the front of these trucks, very impressive. You know, I'm used to long-nosed Peterbilts and things like that, but seeing these trucks maneuver, and I tried my best to get in one of them. I showed I had my CDLs, they didn't care. So it was still worth a chance to try to drive one of them, but that Volvo is very impressive. Another look around the megawatt charger here before another truck comes up. You can see him putting the charging head into the, well, trying to put the charger head back into the holder. And here comes the next one. This is the Scania. Very nice truck. I think this had the highest charge curve of all of them, or highest charge. Again, all of these trucks are very impressive, extremely strong. And they also showed a roadmap of where these vehicles will be having more and more battery capabilities in the future. And here it is. This is what it looks like when you're plugging in a megawatt charger into a publicly accessible Class 8 truck.
Okay, try the next one. See what happens.
And now you can see the handshake being completed between the truck and the charger, and then it'll start charging.
The ramp actually from the truck is a bit faster, but it's a bit in the dialogue with the charging station and connecting all the power modules. It takes a while, but here you will see it ramping up. So you can scan the QR code there if you want to follow it on your phone.
So even with the trucks, you can charge a QR code and follow all the way if you're interested.
Still going. I'd say the temperature 550.
So let's see, now we are up at 520, 550.
already.
Yep.
Okay.
Soon 600 kilowatts.
Can I get this
That'll
for
be
regular
600
cars?
kilowatt mark.
Charge my pickup 10 minutes.
Yeah.
645, 650. I would assume it soon stops out. Let's see what current we have at the moment. We're up at 990 amps, which and this one takes 1000 amps at max. So I think it will probably go up to 1000 if we are lucky here. But here you can see them. It's very close to its max power at current at 1000 amps.
That's insane.
And the power then is 660 kilowatt at the moment, and it will increase as the voltage goes up in the batteries. So it will go about 700 before the session is over, but right now it's below 700. 666, the number of the beast. Maybe it's a good one. Here you have the 1000 amps. So now up at maximum current, it will not go higher in current, but the voltage will increase in the batteries, and with that the power will also increase while the session runs. So you will have a...
What's the peak voltage it gets to?
700, just below 750. Okay. But at that voltage the current will not be 1000 amps, it will be slightly lower.
Just
if I remember correctly, this one will top out at about 78% of the SOC of the vehicle, and then it will start ramping down slowly to protect the battery life length. And that goes with the battery chemistry that is on this truck.
You can go for the QR code and have this one.
Now, with that impressive charge, we look at the Volvo. Once again, this truck can haul up to 44 tons of gross combination weight. Uses a 360 to 540 kilowatt battery. It's like 4 to 6 packs that they use on these. Even more impressive is the long-range version, which can go up to 600 kilometers. You can see the CCS above the MCS charger, so you can do both on this side. And they've went over 250 million kilometers in real-life commercial use. Got to see a map of where their trucks have been running over the last few years, a heat map, and it was very impressive. And, you know, I think that map will be coming over to America fairly soon. As long as it makes money, I think they'll do well. One more shot. And here you can see the spring system on top. There's also another one on the bottom that kind of pivots, and that's kind of a traditional design that Kempower has. And, you know, this truck also, I think it went over 500. It appeared like it was still limited just because these are tests, but again, the system itself, this is a public system now. If you have your Class 8 truck in Norrköping, Sweden, please come up and charge here. There is credit card readers, there's everything you need to go ahead and start getting that 500, 600, 700 kilowatts delivered into your vehicle. But overall, the equipment performed fantastically, and it's definitely something that Josh and I are going to be considering for some of our sites, especially along the freight routes of the Southeast. There's a few projects I think we can definitely use this technology on. I couldn't leave without at least showing you this ID Buzz. Very much different than the one we have in the United States. I love the panel sides. I think that would have been very good to have. Unfortunately, we just don't have it where we are. I would like to have a big thanks to Sweden, Stockholm, and Norrköping. Beautiful cities, beautiful environments, beautiful people. Love the time we spent there and seeing this system in action. It does help us when we're trying to plan what we want to build here in the United States, and seeing it work, especially in an area that is a little more difficult to charge and is harder on batteries, was a very good thing to see. I'd also like to thank Kempower and their team for having us out. You know, it's something that you want to have good partners in anything you do, and I think we have some of the best for our charging equipment, and I can't wait to bring this technology back home. Speaking of which, I am getting ready to jump on the plane now, so I will see you all later. So that's it from Sweden. Cold air, quiet trucks, and more kilowatts than people think are even real. If this episode doesn't blow your mind, check your breaker panel. Hit subscribe, follow along, and tune in next time, because the tech is moving faster than the grid, and we're dumb enough to chase it. This is Turn Down for What? See you next time.